Hello guys, welcome to my humble YouTube channel where I bring you fanfiction that will brighten your days. Before we start, a subscribe is greatly appreciated, and don't forget to leave a like and ring the bell icon so you won't miss exciting new fanfiction stories. True God in Another World, Tensura x Tbate, by Tempest_King_20. Chapter 25. Cynthia Goodsky. Arthur Pov. Ray. I heard that Rimuru is back. A thin man with glasses and a suit came barging in, with who I assumed to be his wife and daughter trailing not too far behind. I immediately knew they were our family's benefactors, Vincent, Tabitha, and their daughter, Lilia Helsta. She cried out, running towards my brother, her arms open wide. Finally you are back. He hugged her tight, laughing as he spun her around. Lilia, it's great to see you again, and you too, Uncle Vincent, Aunt Tabitha. We're also glad to see you again, Rimuru, said Vincent as he hugged Rimuru, and after a moment parted with him. We missed you so much, Tabitha said as she hugged Rimuru, and then they stood up and looked at me. You must be Arthur. My father wrapped his arms around the man's shoulder. Yes, that's right. Vincent, this is my second son, Arthur. Arthur, this is Vincent. You must have heard from but he's the one who helped us these years, so introduce yourself before we start destroying his house. He grinned broadly. It is a pleasure to meet you. As you already know, my name is Arthur Lewin. Thank you for taking care of my family all of this time. I introduced myself after getting up and bowing to Vincent. No problem, your dad helped me a lot, so I just repaid the debt, Vincent said, smiling at me, before looking at my dad. What's that? It's so cute, Lilia said, looking at Sylvie, her eyes shining. It's my bond, Sylvie, I hatched a few months ago, my brother said, and Sylvie introduced herself with a Q. Oh my gosh, Lilia squealed. Vincent coughed into his hand, drawing their attention. Lilia, don't be rude and introduce Arthur. Lilia realized her error and turned around. She bowed and introduced herself to me in a respectable and graceful fashion, to which I answered in kind. By the way, Ray, what did you mean by destroying my house? Don't tell me you're going to fight your son and he just came back. My dad laughed awkwardly while Vincent sighed. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Rimuru and Lilia, and they were still talking about Sylvie, looking close to each other. Maybe I've had my chance, I thought as I smiled and start thinking of ways to tease my brother about his relationship with Lilia like he did to me and Tess. We all headed into the backyard. We put proper distance between each other on the large grass lot outside. The audience consisted of the rest of my family and the Helstia family, and Sylvie, who was playing with Ellie. I grinned. Ready when you're ready. Be careful, Art. You may be a light red stage, but your old man is still at a higher stage than you. He pounded his two fists together, giving me a confident smirk. Come, my father taunted, getting in an offensive stance. Let's see how much my training in Eleanor had paid off. My body, already strengthened through assimilation, responded to mana much more acutely than it had before. Before my father had the time to prepare, my fist was already in range of his body. My father responded immediately as I could sense mana spreading throughout his body. In a seamless sequence, I feigned a punch, twisting my torso with deceptive grace to deliver a high kick. However, my father's left arm rose like a shield, intercepting my blow. The force of the impact caused his arm to momentarily flinch, opening a brief gap in his defenses. Before I could capitalize on this opening, he swiftly utilized the momentum to chop his right hand towards my body. Reacting instinctively, I grappled his outstretched arm while simultaneously executing a swift kick to the back of his right knee. The combination of my enhanced strength and mana-infused body disrupted his balance, causing him to stumble forward. With a swift and precise motion, I utilized all my force to throw him, leveraging my controlled strength against his larger frame. However, my father's resilience proved formidable as he quickly regained his footing, determined not to let the advantage slip through his grasp. Sensing his imminent counterattack, I deftly retreated, creating distance to reassess the situation before he could gain a strategic advantage. Without warning, my father propelled himself forward, launching a powerful right fist directly at my face. Reacting on pure instinct, I gracefully evaded the blow, utilizing my heightened agility to swiftly sidestep the attack. Yet, his left fist proved swifter than I anticipated, catching me on the side before I could evade entirely. I clenched my teeth, gritting against the pain, refusing to succumb to its distraction. Swiftly turning the momentum of his strike to my advantage, I spun around with barely contained strength, unleashing a formidable kick aimed at his midsection. Foreseeing my maneuver, my father displayed his experience, deftly blocking my kick with his arm. Undeterred by his defensive maneuver, I continued my assault, flowing seamlessly into a swift punch aimed at his chest. Despite his quick reactions, he managed to block this strike as well, his arms serving as impenetrable shields. Sensing the imminent danger of his impending attack, I swiftly leapt backward, creating a safe distance between us, allowing me a moment to recalibrate my strategy. "Well, I'd have to say you're better than all of the mages I've trained," my father exclaimed, a broad smile on his face. "Your old man's going to get serious now, though, be careful." He put on a more serious face. It was apparent to both of us that we had both been holding back. His two fists ignited, bursting into fiery gloves. This control over his fire element was good. This was not an ordinary fire, but an orange fire. I could tell that it was clearly better than the red fire most fire mages used. It was a testament to my father's hard work and dedication to his training. I shot him a proud grin, before readying myself as well. "Impressive, Dad. But now it's my turn." Try not to be too surprised. As I focused my energy, crackling sounds popped in the air around me. My hair stood on its end as electric currents coursed through me, forming streams of yellow lightning that crackled and sizzled in the air around me. My father's eyes widened in surprise as he watched me, a proud smile on his face. "So you're a deviant too, huh? That's my son," he declared with pride. The energy crackled between us as we faced each other, eager for the battle ahead. Before my father could even prepare himself, I sprinted towards him, my footsteps leaving scorch marks on the grass and earth beneath me. The smell of burning vegetation filled the air as I propelled myself forward with all my might. Yellow sparks crackled around me, a visible manifestation of the lightning I had conjured within me. In an instant, I blinked behind him, my movements almost too quick for the eye to follow. With focused determination, I concentrated the raw power of lightning into my clenched fist, charging it with electrifying energy. As I closed in, I delivered a swift, hooking punch towards my father, aiming to unleash the full force of my lightning-infused attack upon him. A frightening explosion occurred as my fist collided with his. While my father had managed to block my attack, the recoil pushed him into a nearby tree. Getting back to his feet, my father imbued his arm in fire before looking at me. We both stayed silent, our gaze enough to tell each other our intent. As he lunged towards me with a speed fearsome for his size, I readied myself as well. Anticipating his attack, I braced myself, readying my body for the imminent clash. My assimilated form, enhanced by the lightning coursing through my veins, heightened my senses, allowing me to perceive every subtle movement and shift in his burning fists. As soon as my father got in range, he let out a flurry of precise jabs as my assimilated body, coupled with the nerve-enhancing effect of the lightning coursing through me, was able to dodge each one with minimal movement. Lightning and fire intertwined as I parried and dodged his fists, each of his jabs growing faster and sharper. He truly was my father. With each deflection of his fists, I retaliated with small, controlled bursts of lightning, strategically aimed to gradually weaken the strength in his arms. The crackling energy sizzled and hummed as it struck his defenses, sapping away his resistance inch by electrified inch. I was at a severe disadvantage because of my height and reach, and my father wasn't one who'd let that opportunity go wasted. He kept his optimal distance instead of carelessly getting close as I did all I can to get in range. As I parried each of his fists, I fired small bursts of lightning, slowly whittling down the feelings in his arms. I dashed towards my dad and raised my leg for a kick. My dad was able to see this and raised his hands to block my attack. Instead of kicking him, I got hold of his arms and used my body momentum and speed to slam him on the ground. My father fell with his back on the ground, his eyes widened. Summoning all my resolve, I dashed towards my father once more, my movements a blur of controlled urgency. Raising my leg for a powerful kick, I intended to exploit his anticipation and force him to defend. However, my father, ever vigilant, lifted his hands in a defensive stance, poised to block my attack. Adjusting my strategy in a split second, I seized hold of his outstretched arms, my lightning-charged body engulfed in a surge of momentum and speed. With a swift and explosive motion, I utilized my enhanced strength to slam him forcefully onto the ground, his back colliding with the earth beneath him. A mixture of surprise and astonishment etched across his face as he lay there, momentarily stunned. The intensity of our battle permeated the air, the crackling energy and charred residue serving as a testament to the clash of elements and the testament of our connection, a father and son matched in strength and determination. After a few seconds of silence, my father stood up and started laughing. He took me in a side hug and started ruffling my hair. My second boy is now even stronger than his father, huh? Dad grinned, still ruffling my hair. My father had always been the type to easily accept facts, and he knew I and Ri was already some sort of monstrous genius, so me being a deviant and stronger than him didn't really surprise him all too much, and also he had already seen the abilities of Ri, who was stronger than me, so he and the others weren't too surprised.
So, Art, when exactly did you learn that new trick? My father asked, more in a curious tone than one of shocked bewilderment.
Not too long ago, Dad, I replied sheepishly, but unlike Ri, I haven't mastered it completely. I think that's still impressive, brother, Ri commented as they all walked up to us. Yeah, you're still young, but you're already that strong, which is unbelievable, Vincent said with a smile as he placed his hand on my shoulder. I smiled in turn, and we all made our way back into the living room where we all situated ourselves around the dining table. Ray, Alice, are you going to enroll Arthur in Zyrus Academy as well? Vincent asks. I heard from Ri that he had met the director and she was impressed by him, so she offered him a scholarship to her academy. I also overheard Gramps talking about her and her academy. Well, that was the plan, but of course not now, Mom said. And then she looked at me. Are you good with this, Art? I nodded, of course, having no problem with that, especially since Ri had told me it would be worth joining her academy. So should I call the director? Vincent asked, and my parents nodded. I glanced over at my brother to see him still in conversation with Lilia while he was feeding Sylvie. Well, then I will invite her to come over tomorrow.
Mom, where should I sleep? I asked my mother when I finished eating.
Oh, yes. I almost forgot. My mother's face brightened with a smile. You'll be sharing a room with Ri. It's next to Eleanor's room in the left wing. Come on, let's all go upstairs now. It's getting late. It was already late, and my baby sister was drifting in and out of her dreams as we discussed my future. Today had been a long and eventful day, and now it was time to find solace in the embrace of family and rest. Mom and Dad lead us to the room where we will live from today on. Lead us to the room we'd be living in from today onwards. It was a lot larger than our room in Ashburn, but still decorated in a homey fashion. While the furnishings did leave a lot of open space, it worked perfectly since we needed some space to train. There were also some of Rimuru's belongings from his previous visits. As Ri gently placed Sylvie on the plush bed, my parents settled down beside Ri and me. Their presence offered a sense of comfort and security. Tomorrow, we'll go shopping together. We need to get you some new clothes, my mother said, her fingers delicately running through my hair. Ri tried to object but fell silent after seeing my mother's creepy smile. Sigh. Fine. My father squatted down in front of me, his grip firm yet gentle as he held our arm. Arthur, Rimuru, regardless of whether you're geniuses or not, you will always be our son. We will be proud of you and love you unconditionally, no matter the circumstances. His expression was unusually serious, reinforcing the unwavering support I could always count on from them. I felt reassured, knowing that they saw me as their beloved son rather than just a little genius. Before he stood back up, he pinched my cheek and gave me an evil smile. Besides, I know you held back on me. Don't think that you fooled me. We'll do a rematch soon. Ri too, you will fight me again. My mother just chortled at this. I swear, all you guys think about is fighting. With a comforting smile in her eyes, she looked at me and said, your father is right, though. No matter what kind of geniuses you are, you'll always be my baby boys. Haha, can't I be your adolescent boy now? I'm 7.5, Mom? I grinned back at her, embracing the lightheartedness of the moment. Nope, you can't, she retorted playfully before they both bid us good night and left the room. Get some rest now. Tomorrow, we'll go shopping with your sister. It will be a wonderful opportunity for you, Art, both to bond, my mother advised before closing the door behind her. As I prepared for bed, exhaustion washed over me. I didn't even have the energy to wash up properly. Instead, I plopped onto my bed, bouncing the sleeping Sylvie, who whined at me before nodding off once again. Today had been a long, but good day, and with a smile plastered on my face, I followed Sylvie into a comforting sleep. Rimuru Pav. I woke up the next morning to my baby dragon licking furiously at my face. Haha, I'm up, Sylvie, I'm up. Q. She was hopping up and down on top of me, a feeling of excitement radiating from her. Looks like someone is excited here, I said, giving her a good scratch behind the ears.
Glancing over at Arthur, he was still deep in sleep, taking advantage of this moment to be able to do my personal hygiene in the bathroom. I put on white shorts and a black t-shirt. I went out of the room to meet the others, while Sylvie was on top of me and wanted me to hurry out to get on the food.
With golden eyes instead of blue, of course. Gigi morning brooder. A sleepy Ellie said going up the stairs. Good morning, Ellie. I placed my finger in front of her face. I used the magic of gravity and wind to lift her up and held her in my arms. An ecstatic, innocent giggle left her mouth as she held my hand. Art will wake up in a little while. How about we go ahead to the dining room? Arriving at the place, I sense a delicious bacon smell. I saw that inside the kitchen Aunt Tabitha and my mom were cooking something as they chatted. Lilia was sitting at the table, her legs dangling cutely, obviously waiting to be able to eat. Good morning, Mom, Aunt Tabitha, Lily, I announced. G-morning, Ellie said in my arms. Sylvie added her own greeting with an enthusiastic, Q, good morning. Ah. Re. Come eat breakfast with us. I remember having the hardest time waking Art up even when you two were babies. I swear he slept like a log. My mother chuckled as she placed some eggs into a large plate. Did you sleep well? Smiled Aunt Tabitha as she tossed the bowl of salad she had in her hands. I nodded. Hi, Ellie. Good morning, Re. Lily seemed to be so interested in the food that she only now noticed our presence there. Good morning, Lily, I replied with a grin. Looks like you're ready to chow down. She nodded eagerly as we all took our seats at the table. After a few seconds, we heard footsteps. It was Arthur. Good morning, everyone. What are you making for breakfast? We started to eat our breakfast. It was great. Mother mentioned that usually the maids are the ones to cook, but she wanted to cook today for us. I made sure to give some of the bacon to Sylvie, who didn't hesitate to gobble whatever entered her mouth, including my finger. Eventually, Ellie and Lily both wanted to try feeding the baby dragon. Needless to say, Sylvie warmed up to both of them a bit more after being fed.
The carriage is waiting out front, so leave the dishes in the sink, and let's go, announced my aunt. We had eventually reached the fashion district of Zyrus, and what I feared happened. Arthur and I were used as mannequins for each of the girls' own preferences in style. Our mom wanted to dress us in simple clothes, while Aunt Tabitha wanted to transform us into some sort of princes. Even Lily and Ellie made us try some clothes. You need to look good since you're my brothers, she announced loudly, her hands on her hips. We ended up with more than 10 different sets of clothes, half from Mother and the other half from Aunt Tabitha. Sylvie could sense the exhaustion radiating from me, and he comfortingly perched on top of my head, as if she gloat. After making our purchase, Lily quickly grabbed my and Art's hands and said, come on you two, there was a place I wanted to take you both when I saw you. What is she talking about? That's what I thought when Lily led us through the streets to the barber shop. Everyone agreed that I just needed to fix the ends of my hair. It was just cropped and was styled in a better fashion, but it wasn't the same for Art. Although it seems that he didn't like that. I feel ridiculous, he muttered, his hand scratching his neck awkwardly. But my mom saw things differently. You look perfect, honey. It suits you, she said, admiring her son's new hairstyle. Good enough to be Ellie brother now, Ellie said, nodding her head. Don't laugh, don't laugh, don't laugh. I tried my best not to laugh at him, but when I saw his new hairstyle, I couldn't help it. Arthur saw my reactions and glared at me. Don't you dare laugh, he shouted. I'm not laughing, I said, trying to stifle the giggles. That failed and I started laughing at him while he stared at me. And even my mother and aunt couldn't help but chuckle at the sight of us. Arthur sighed and gave up.
After Arthur finished getting his hair cut, we left the store and started wandering around the city of Zyrus, looking for some more stores to visit. As we walked, we saw two boys harassing a lady who took care of her sales stall. They're students of Zyrus Academy, Lily said, while Art and I were leaning on the bridge. Being able to wear that uniform makes you almost an accomplishment around here. They look like jerks to me, Art agreed with Lily's assessment of the situation. The lady was trying to keep her products organized and protected from the elements, but the two boys were taunting her and making fun of her wares. A lot of them are. They're almost considered royalty around here though, Lily said. Royalty huh? How they seem weak, I said, looking at the three down there. I conjured up some stones and threw them at one of the boys, hitting him in the arm. He looked around for the person who threw it at him. He couldn't find us since I used the magic of illusion around us to make us invisible. This time I used earth magic along with wind magic to hit them all in one blow. Wow, Lily said in admiration. Art was impressed as well, but he just whistled in appreciation. What are you three doing? My mom said when she approached us, and I can sense Art go to a weapon shop. Jay just looking at the shopping center. With Ree and Art. Lily stuttered, trying to hide the truth. Then she looked at me and Art, but Art had already left. He's like a puppy, Lily commented, her tone slightly amused, as she watched Art wander off. It's actually refreshing to see him act like a child, my mom chimed in between laughter, her eyes twinkling with amusement. The rest of the girls nodded in agreement, sharing a moment of lightheartedness. I chuckled at Lily's comment before turning to my mom, a mischievous glint in my eyes. We were just looking around, I replied, my voice innocent but tinged with a hint of mischief. My mom raised an eyebrow, clearly not convinced by my response, but decided not to press the matter further. I turned to Lily, a playfully teasing smile on my face. Let's go find Art, he's probably checking out some new weapons, I suggested, and Lily nodded eagerly in agreement. We headed towards the nearby store. As we entered the shop, the sound of an angry voice caught our attention. A man, clearly enraged, was berating someone, his voice filled with bitterness. What house raided such a rude? He trailed off in mid-sentence as my mom's voice boomed through the store. Get your hand off my son, she bellowed, her voice powerful and commanding, causing everyone present to turn their attention towards her. What do you think you're doing? My name is Igastus from house. The man addressed Mom in an arrogant manner, most likely trying to intimidate her, only to trail off and start trembling as he has seen Aunt Tabitha. Igastus? You're from the branch family of House Ravenpour, would like me to revoke your and your family's participation in the Heltia auction house? Aunt Tabitha asked him, her voice dripping with icy calmness, her raised eyebrow conveying both authority and disdain. Mom on the other hand was fuming and looked inches away from just slapping the idiot, and honestly I kinda want to beat him as well given how arrogant he is. Lily just looked at him smugly while Ellie also had an angry expression. The man, his arrogance shattered, dropped to his knees, his voice quivering as he began to apologize profusely. After we had safely exited the weapon shop, Art turned to Tabitha, gratitude etched on his face. Thank you for getting me out of that situation, he said sincerely. Honestly, I was more afraid of what you or Ree would do to the man. Aunt Tabitha waved off his gratitude, seemingly unfazed by the whole ordeal. My mom chuckled softly, an amused smile gracing her lips. I wasn't really going to do anything physical, except maybe give him a piece of my mind, I admitted, a mischievous smirk forming on my face as my gaze wandered around the shopping center. Suddenly, my eyes landed on an ice cream cart nearby, the colorful display of frozen treats tempting me. That looks yummy, let's try it, Lily, Art, I exclaimed, taking their hands. I pulled them towards the ice cream cart. Lily and Art both smiled eagerly, following me to the ice cream cart. As we approached, we could smell the sweet scent of freshly made waffle cones and the cold aroma of different flavors of ice cream. Wow, there are so many flavors to choose from, Lily said, her eyes widening in excitement. I want the mint chocolate chip, Art exclaimed, pointing at the green ice cream in the display case. I think I'm going to try the cookie dough, I said, my mouth already watering at the thought. We placed our orders and watched as the vendor scooped generous portions of ice cream onto our cones. The cold, creamy texture of the ice cream melted in our mouths, and we savored every bite. Papa, can I have one? Sylvie said. She looked back at me with pleading eyes, and I couldn't resist her adorable pout. I smiled at Sylvie and nodded. Of course, little one. Which ice cream flavor do you want? Sylvie's face lit up as she pointed to the strawberry ice cream, which was a bright pink and looked absolutely delicious. That one, Papa. It looks so yummy. I chuckled and ordered a strawberry ice cream for Sylvie. As we stood waiting for it to be prepared, Sylvie bounced up and down with excitement. I could tell how much she was looking forward to the treat. Finally, the vendor handed me the ice cream cone, and I held it out for Sylvie to take a lick. She closed her eyes, savored the first taste, and then let out a happy sigh. This is delicious, Papa. Thank you so much. I couldn't help but laugh at her enthusiasm. Anything for my little princess, I said, reaching out to pat her head. I also want that Sovet. I want ice cream too, Ellie screamed as soon as she saw our ice cream. Let's buy one for you too, dear, my mother said kindly, reaching into her purse to grab some money. By the way, Papa, when are we going to see Mama? Sylvie asked through the mental bond between us, when we got away from the cart. I sensed a hint of eagerness and longing in her thoughts. Soon, Sylvie, soon, I replied, trying to sound as reassuring as possible. I missed Sylvia too, but with her dedication to her training, we hadn't had much time to talk. Just then, Art, who had been walking beside me, noticed our conversation and expressed his curiosity. What are you guys talking about? He asked with a curious look on his face. About Sylvia. Sylvie was just asking when we will meet her mother, I explained, nodding at Sylvie. Art's face lit up with excitement. And when will we see her? He asked eagerly. Sue. My words stopped, the expression of both Art and I darkened. Someone's watching, he seethed, his tone barely concealing the rage that simmered beneath the surface. After a lot of training, Art was able to improve his sense, and he could even be compared to Big Cecilia. What shall we do? He asked me. Don't worry, I will take care of them. With a nod, Arthur fell back slightly, subtly adjusting his position to cover my blind spots. We continued walking, our strides purposeful and confident, as if we were oblivious to the stalker's presence. It was all part of the act, a carefully crafted facade to lure them into a false sense of security. And fortunately the others were some distance ahead of us so they could not hear our conversation. Interrogate them, kill them, I whispered, my words barely audible. The augmentation of my vocal cords, a result of years of training and refinement, allowed me to convey the message with a mere breath. The wind mana infused within my voice carried the deadly intent, a testament to the power that lay dormant within me. Understood. A response came swiftly, echoing through the ether. From the concealed shadows, one of my trusted bodyguards acknowledged my command. Although I was loath to the idea of having bodyguards, in the end I had to give in. And here when I thought I ran away from all those guards in the cardinal world. Less than you can't blame them, Master, they're just afraid for your safety. Greater than Seal, interjected softly, her voice resonating within my mind. Greater than, but I can take care of myself, Seal. Less than I replied, a hint of frustration lacing my words. Less than I know you can, Master, and so do they. But they care for you deeply. Greater than Seal replied calmly, her tone soothing. Less than you must understand that their worry comes from a place of love, not doubt in your abilities. Greater than. I let out a long sigh, knowing that Seal was right. Greater than I know, Seal. It's just frustrating sometimes. Less than I admitted, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. Greater than but I do appreciate their concern. Less than Seal nodded in agreement, her expression softening. Less than of course, Master. And remember, I am always here to support you and keep you safe. Greater than I smiled, grateful for Ciel's unwavering loyalty. Greater than thank you, Seal. I don't know what I would do without you. Less than. Less than you would manage, Master. But I am glad that I am here to assist you whenever you need me. Greater than. Feeling a sense of comfort wash over me, although I didn't like having bodyguards and being constantly watched, so I enacted some conditions on them. I was confident my subordinates would deal with the stalker, so I ignored him. Instead I turned my attention back to our group, and unfortunately for Art and I the girls decided to continue shopping, and we went through hell again. After a long time, we returned home in an exhausted state, and I felt a familiar mana signature coming from the palace. And we noticed another carriage near the front doors. That symbol is for Zyrus Academy, Lily stated. Aunt Tabitha's eyes widened in surprise. Oh, that must mean the director is here, she said, a hint of excitement in her voice. Are you ready, Art? I asked, turning to my brother. I'll tell you this before you fight her, she's a mid-silver stage conjurer. Wind attribute with deviant in sound. Arthur's eyes widened slightly, but he nodded resolutely. I could see the determination in his gaze. As we stepped inside, we saw my father and Uncle Vincent sitting on the couch across from someone. It was Director Goodsky, the head of Zyrus Academy. "Oh, you guys are finally back," Vincent exclaimed, his face lighting up with excitement. "Arthur, there's someone I'd like you to meet." The director looked at us and smiled at me, then she turned her attention to Art as she was still smiling and held out her hand to Arthur. "Nice to finally meet you, Arthur."